The movie begins in a rehab center where a group of recovering addicts sit in a circle, sharing their stories. A nurse enters and tells them that there's an urgent phone call for a woman named Darby. When Darby answers, a relative tells her that her mom has had an aneurysm and is in the hospital in Salt Lake City with her sister, Devin. Darby gets worried. Later that night, she secretly calls Devin, and we find out their relationship is strained. Devin doesn't want to see her, and Darby doesn't care. She decides to escape the facility by stealing a car and driving away. On her way, she pulls over and remembers a dark moment from her past, when her mom and sister found her overdosed inside a car. Back in the present, a police officer stops her and tells her all the roads are closed because of an approaching storm. He advises her to wait it out at a nearby visitor center. Darby agrees and goes there. When she arrives, she finds several other people also waiting for the storm to pass. She checks her phone in the restroom and reads messages from her sister, telling her not to come to the hospital. Feeling stressed, Darby takes out a small bag of cocaine but decides not to use it. Later, she goes outside to the parking lot looking for phone service when she hears a strange noise. She follows it and discovers a young girl tied up inside a van. Shocked, Darby tries to open the door but it's locked. She quickly takes a photo of the license plate and promises the child she'll come back. She then tries calling 911, but there's no signal, so she returns inside. Looking around, she realizes the kidnapper must be one of the people in the room. Darby sits down as she meets the others: Sandy, a former nurse, and her husband Ed, an ex-Marine, Lars, a socially awkward man, and Ash, a charming guy. To pass time, Ed suggests they play a card game. As they play, Darby casually asks questions about where everyone is from and where they're going, while secretly trying to figure out who owns the van. She notices the van's license plate is from Nevada and becomes tense when Lars says he's from there. Lars starts losing the game and begins acting strange, showing that he's unstable. Darby uses the chance to slip away and hide in an out-of-order restroom to text 911 about the kidnapping, even sending the photo of the license plate, but there's still no service. Realizing she has to handle things herself, Darby stands up and uses a hammer to pull a wooden plank off the wall, revealing a hole she can crawl through. She sneaks outside, makes her way back to the van, and this time manages to unlock the door using a thin metal bar before climbing inside. As she tries to untie the little girl, she notices a medical alert bracelet on her wrist. Meanwhile, Lars sits nearby, talking softly to the child, and we learn the girl's name is Jay. Darby freezes when she spots a gun tucked in Lars's back pocket. Lars then mentions someone named Uncle Kenny, saying he's taking Jay to him, before stepping out of the van to get snacks for her. Knowing she doesn't have much time, Darby quickly leaves a box cutter with Jay and crawls back out, returning to the restroom. When Lars comes back, he sees footprints in the snow near the van and starts getting suspicious. Inside, Ash knocks on the restroom door, worried about Darby. Before she can explain, Lars walks away, and Darby tells Ash what she discovered, that a little girl is tied up in the van and Lars must know she's onto him. Ash looks alarmed and grabs a nail gun from the tool cart, saying they need a plan. The plan is simple: Darby will go outside again and make sure Lars follows her, while Ash warns Ed, the ex-Marine, about what's really happening. But when Darby returns to the van, Jay quietly asks where the men who took her are, revealing there's more than one kidnapper. Darby looks outside and sees Ash and Lars talking together. To her horror, Ash takes the gun while Lars holds the nail gun. They're working together and planning to ambush her. Darby quickly sneaks back inside the building, but the two men follow her in. Ash corners her, grabs her phone, deletes the unsent messages to 911, and reads her texts from her sister. He realizes Darby's family doesn't want her at the hospital and resents her. Out in the front hall, Ed starts to sense that something's wrong and heads outside to check. Meanwhile, Ash begins interrogating Darby, asking personal questions about her family. He cruelly brings up her father's death, and a terrified Darby admits that her father shot himself. Ash then points the gun at her head, mockingly asking which side he shot. Darby snaps back, calling him a child molester. Ash insists he's not, that he's only doing this for money because Jay's father is rich and will pay a fortune for her return. He also reveals that Jay has Addison's disease, meaning too much adrenaline could kill her, so Darby trying to rescue her only made things worse. Inside the van, Jay starts cutting through the duct tape around her wrists using the box cutter Darby gave her. At that same moment, Ed walks up to the van and tries to open the door. Strangely, Jay stays completely silent. Back inside, Ash and Darby are interrupted when Sandy comes over, asking to talk to Darby alone. Before leaving, Ash warns Darby not to say a word or he'll kill everyone. Shaken, Darby keeps quiet. Sandy notices how scared she looks but doesn't know why. Darby quickly changes the subject by asking about brain aneurysms and whether her mom has any chance of surviving. Later, both women return to the main hall and sit with the others. Soon, Darby notices something outside. Jay has freed herself and escaped from the van. Ash and Lars spot it too, and Lars rushes out to find her. Ed and Sandy, however, still have no idea what's really happening. Darby slips away to the restroom again, and Ash soon follows her. Inside, Ash attacks Darby. He's stronger and starts choking her, but before he can do serious harm, Lars bursts in. He tells Ash that Jay has escaped onto the hiking trail, and they need to go after her. The two kidnappers force Darby to join them in the search. As they hike through the dark, snowy woods, Darby refuses to help. She suddenly shines her flashlight directly into their eyes, blinding them for a moment. Startled, Ash fires his gun. Darby dodges but loses her footing and tumbles down a hill. Back at the visitor center, Ed and Sandy hear the gunshot. Ed immediately grabs a flashlight and runs outside to investigate. Darby hides among the trees while Ash and Lars search for her, but she manages to stay out of sight. Ed eventually finds an unconscious Jay lying in the snow and carries her inside. When Sandy sees the medical bracelet on Jay's wrist, she realizes the girl is seriously ill. A few moments later, Darby returns, exhausted and shaken, and finally tells Ed and Sandy everything: the kidnapping, the men, and Jay's condition. Outside, Ash and Lars reach the building and start yelling, demanding to be let in. Ed quickly blocks the front door with chairs. The kidnappers argue about whether Ed is bluffing about being armed. Inside, it's revealed that Ed doesn't actually have a gun. Changing their plan, Ash and Lars start shouting that Jay is sick and they have her medication. Sandy hesitates. As a nurse, she's worried because Jay is looking pale and might die without her medicine. But Ed and Darby insist it's a trick. Darby then reveals that she's stolen the kidnappers' car keys, cutting off their only way to escape. Realizing they can use the medicine as leverage, Ed shouts to the kidnappers that they're willing to trade the medicine for the car keys. Angry, Ash and Lars walk back to their van. But when they return, they aren't carrying medicine, they're holding a gas can. It's clear they plan to burn down the building. Ed quickly tells Darby to hide all the car keys, figuring that the kidnappers won't kill them if they can't escape afterward. Outside, Ash and Lars begin pouring gasoline around the front of the building. Terrified, Sandy pulls out a small pepper spray to protect herself. While this is happening, Jay wakes up and quietly says something to Sandy, revealing that they actually know each other. The story flashes back to show that Sandy used to work as a maid at Jay's house, where Jay often bullied her. Later, when Jay was being kidnapped and screamed for help, Sandy didn't intervene. We also see Sandy talking to Ash on the phone, with him yelling that he couldn't find Jay's medicine and that she must bring it so the girl doesn't die. Back in the present, Sandy suddenly shouts and sprays Darby in the eyes with pepper spray. At that moment, Ash and Lars storm into the building. Ash gives Sandy the medicine and orders her to give it to Jay. Afterward, a heated argument breaks out between Sandy and the kidnappers. That's when the truth comes out. Ash and Lars never planned to return Jay to her parents or collect ransom money. They're part of a child trafficking ring and intend to sell Jay instead. Horrified, Sandy begs them not to go through with it but is too scared to resist. She finally gives in, telling them to just take Jay and leave. She even reveals that Darby hid the car keys somewhere behind the building. Ed tries to protest, but before he can do anything, chaos erupts. Darby reaches for the pepper spray on the floor, but Ash gets to it first. He then walks up to Sandy, who's still alive but badly injured, and kills her. After that, he attacks Darby, using the nail gun to pin her wrists to the wall. Once he's done, he turns to Lars, who's crying in pain from the pepper spray that got into his eyes. Ash drags him to the restroom to rinse it out, leaving Darby nailed to the wall and bleeding. Darby fights to stay quiet and holds back her screams. She tries to pull her hand free, but the pain is unbearable. She spots a hammer nearby and struggles to reach it, but it's just out of reach. Desperate, she calls softly for Jay to help her. Meanwhile, in the restroom, Ash is helping Lars wash out his eyes. Lars is shaken and clearly didn't expect Ash to actually kill anyone. Jay quietly hands the hammer to Darby, but before she can free herself, the kidnappers return. Darby quickly hides the hammer. Ash walks up to her again, demanding to know where the car keys are. He checks her phone and leans close, taunting her. Darby silently cries, refusing to answer. Then suddenly, something unexpected happens. The message she sent to 911 earlier finally goes through. The police are now on their way. Realizing they're running out of time, Ash panics. He grabs Jay and points the nail gun at her wrist, threatening to hurt her. Seeing this, Darby gives in and tells him that the car keys are buried in the snow behind the restroom. Ash hands the gun to Lars and goes outside to find them. Left alone, Lars looks shaken. He clearly doesn't want to hurt anyone. Darby notices this and comes up with a plan. She whispers to Jay to turn off the lights, knowing Lars won't actually harm her. Nervous but brave, Jay slowly walks toward the switch. Lars panics and yells at her to stop, but she flips the switch anyway, plunging the room into darkness. Darby quickly takes out the small bag of cocaine from her pocket and inhales it to dull the pain. Using all her strength, she pulls the nail out of her wrist. In the chaos, Lars struggles to control Jay. When Ash comes back, he's shocked to see Darby holding Lars at gunpoint. Ash freezes. It's obvious he actually cares about Lars. Jay rushes at Ash, knocking the nail gun from his hands. In the struggle, Lars falls hard, and the nail in his head goes deeper, killing him instantly. Horrified, Ash loses control. Furious, he storms outside, shooting at Darby and Jay as they try to escape in Darby's car. One bullet hits a tire, sending the car spinning and crashing. While Darby tries to recover, Ash sets fire to the visitor center, burning it down. Just then, a police officer arrives and orders Ash to step away from the car. Darby, now conscious again, grabs a screwdriver and the officer's gun to defend herself. But the confused officer, seeing her armed, shoots her in the stomach. Ash seizes the moment, grabs the fallen officer's gun, and shoots him. Bleeding and furious, Ash approaches Darby to finish her off. Before he can pull the trigger, Darby lunges forward and stabs him in the throat with the screwdriver, killing him instantly. Barely alive, Darby crawls through the snow toward the officer's radio. With her last bit of strength, she calls for help before passing out. In the final scene, Darby wakes up back in the rehab center. It's been over a month since the incident. On her wall, there's a child's drawing, proof that she and Jay have kept in touch. A nurse knocks on her door, saying someone is here to see her. Darby walks to the lobby and finds her sister, Devon, waiting. Devon smiles softly, ready to make amends. Darby smiles back, relieved. The movie ends with her finally at peace.